So we are off on this snowy, drifty afternoon to northern Wisconsin to finally pick up the missing piece of the power plant for the Firebird. That's right, we're on our way to go pick up our 4L80 from a small town transmission shop in northern Wisconsin. Should be about an hour and a half. I'm gonna fill up, grab some grub. Let's hit the road. We are coming in to the small town of Suring, Wisconsin. This is where the transmission shop is that I chose to rebuild our 4L80 for the Firebird. And that was for a couple reasons. One, well, this is, I keep saying this tongue-in-cheek, but this is a budget build. And I like the story of these two guys. Two friends started a transmission shop out of school. They do a bunch of good work, have a bunch of contracts for big automotive repair dealers around Wisconsin, and did I mention they were the cheapest? And they took the time to understand what my engine build was going to look like, how I was going to use the car, the rear end, and all that. So hoping for good things here. Let's pull up to their facility and we'll go from there. Hey, we just arrived at Only Transmissions here in Suring, where the guy is putting the final touches on our transmission, our 4L80 for the Firebird. We'll go and take a closer look at that, get her loaded up, and head back home. So here's a first look at this thing. It's come a long way from the time we dropped it off. I believe he's just got to put some seals and some valve bodies back in, bolt everything down, put the cover on, and like I said, we'll package her up and get her back in the Subaru. So just because I know all you are going to ask me, this is what I went with for a torque converter. Right, wrong, or indifferent, you can crucify me in the comments. But, you know, like I started this thing off, you know, tongue-in-cheek, this is a budget build. I.e., I'm not paying $1,800 for a Circle D torque converter at this point. But though you can remind me in a year when I decide to rip the transmission out and do that. But for now, this is what we got. All right. We just got loaded up. He wasn't quite finished with it, but super nice guy here at Only Transmissions. I'll put his information for his shop and the location, address, and everything in the description. All right, now I got to hustle back home, because like everything else, I have other obligations tonight. But we'll come back when we're ready to unload this thing. All right, switching gears here a little bit on Beyond the Manual. You can see I have the Firebird up in the air and did a little thinking. I've been thinking about stuff and things like fuel lines, brake lines, potentially somewhere here, you know, this is a QA1 4L80 transmission crossmember for a 3rd gen Firebird Camaro. maybe it's time we back up a little bit here and start getting some stuff mocked up, knowing we're getting really close to stabbing in that engine and transmission we've been putting together here over the last couple weeks. So I think we're going to get this bolted in loosely, so it's sitting there. I just want to make sure I have my hardware situated. I'll take you underneath here for a look since we're up in the air finally. Some of the transmission crossmember bolts were stripped out internally, so while I did the floors, I went in and I can't remember what the threads were. I think I used 1/2 inch hardware on half of them. So half of them are going to be metric, half of them are going to be probably 1/2 inch. But that's just the way that goes. And then really, I think while the engine's out, it makes a lot of sense to get some brake lines ran. So we're not fighting that when the engine's in. So stay tuned. Let's take a look under the vehicle. So I don't know how well you'll be able to see this with 10-foot 4-inch garage ceilings. I can only get this car so high in the air. But here you're looking up through the engine bay at the transmission tunnel. You can kind of see here, not only did, where is it? I can't even see it. Here, this might be hard to see, but where the transmission crossmember mounts, while I was in here, I actually welded in a wraparound structural support, obviously on each side to make sure it stays even. Seam sealed everything I did under here. Probably went a little overboard, but so be it. This floor on these always has a habit of caving in, so I added a little structural steel here. Steel? Gosh. Here, I'm a big guy. If I step here, this is when I stepped in and out of the vehicle, this is kind of where my foot landed, so I put support bar there. All the, I guess, rockers were pretty much replaced from here to about there. This side wasn't as bad. I did have to remake these fender mounts right here. You can see I just have some self-tappers in here right now holding the fenders in place. Once I have weight in the car and the subframe connectors welded in and all of that, those will get drilled out and replaced with actual bolts. But yeah, we did 2 coats of epoxy primer under here and 4 coats of catalyzed Rust-Oleum industrial paint. Primarily because I don't want to undercoat this. I want to be able to see with my eyes what's going on under here when I do service. And if I do have to touch something up, I want to just be easy just to take a straight rattle can off the shelf, spray it, touch it up without having to worry about reactions with different paints and all that. So that was my go-to thought under here. And then we have our Borg Warner, a 9-bolt rear end here that we are going to use unless I find a comparable cut down Ford or Quick Performance or Mosler, any other rear end, but I just can't justify spending $3,000 right now on that. So eventually we're going to order a kit for this. I think I'm gonna go with 323 rear end with the gears. There's a place in Australia that sells reinforcement, like hardened reinforced internals for all these. In fact, this one's actually in really good shape. I wish this one was geared differently. I might just run this one. I don't know. I want to say this is like a 273 in here, something like that. It's been so long, I forget. But we're gonna go. I'm gonna have to see. Let's see, that one's cut. I'm gonna have to get a new little distribution block for the rear, but I am gonna at least try to get my 1/4-inch line back here. I don't have 6AN line in stock right now, if you will. I'm gonna have to order that, but I have some 6AN that I'm gonna use for my transmission cooler lines. I'm just gonna try to lay out on this frame rail where I'm gonna try to route some of this. One, to stay away from the transmission harness, which I know has to come along here. We also have the exhaust, which is going to be super close to everything. So, going to work that out. And when I come up with a plan, I'll bring you back in here and we can talk about it. All right, so I am glad I looked at this and actually read the directions because I didn't realize this kit actually makes use of the unused hole forward of the 2 stock ones. So these 2 I drilled out through my brace, my reinforcement here, but I buried a 3rd one that they want you to drill and tap, as this kit uses 3 finished picture, something like that. So we're gonna get these drilled, tapped out, and we'll fit this up here and then carry on with trying to lay out our brake lines. Metal down the shirt. Oh, come on, drill. Work with me. Okay. The next hot metal. Where are we? Hot metal. Okay, that is the QA1 480 transmission mount. Hopefully everything fits. Like I said, there's not a ton of lateral movement in this. Any movement we'll have to do is going to have to be here at the UMI K member. Boy, I'm hoping we only have to put this engine in and out 5 times, not 6. But now that I know where this is kind of going to sit, I can look at where I want to tuck brake and fuel lines and all that. So that'll be our next step. All right, I think I have the start of a plan. I'm actually going to use this hole, and I will get a hard line to soft line transition here. I already have the clips. When we get our new rubber line, that's going to go in there. I have all these just loose for now. Obviously, I'm going to have to flare the end and cut that down a little bit. But I think for this rear one, I'm going to follow the frame rail around this lip because I had some holes here, old ones to use. I could use this one here. I'm going to curve it around. Up in here, this I believe is where the original fuel filter was mounted. But we're going to put our new one somewhere up there, easy to service. Leaving this spot here open, just so if I had to, I can get a jack or something under there that'll crush in this line. So we're going to secure that here, swoop it up over. I put a clip up on top of this bracket, and then I think for my fuel and return, I have these stainless clamps. And I'm going to use the other hole for my fuel. This will then get probably a clamp right here on the end, and we're going to curve it around, come up, and at some point here we'll have to transition inside underneath, leave a loop for vibration, and then we'll get it cut and get it close for now. But I think that's the plan. Worst case, if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. I'm not bleeding at all right away. I can definitely redo it, but so far it's coming together. I apologize, it's a little tight in here, but let me take you up here. We have a nice 45. I should actually back up here. This is, I'm using copper plated nickel brake line because it's easy to bend. And this isn't like a SEMA show car. This is saving me a ton of time, and it bends really nice. So I'm gonna come right up here where I repaired part of the, I call it the frame rail here, if you will. There's a repair I did in here, hence all of the seam seal. But I think from here I'm gonna come up over on top of this a little bit. I might even try to take it further in. This is, okay, plan is up here to probably mount my fuel pressure regulator. I believe that'll meet most tech requirements. I mean, I could throw it on the Firewall, but I think this is easy enough. I don't plan on putting the stock windshield washer fluid bottle in. I'll probably put something down underneath the air intake there with a remote fill. But, so I think I'm gonna get this back as far as I can. One, that will make room for my fuel lines. It'll also help make room for both of the front brake lines. Got to come out of here and down into those giant bear brakes hiding in there. So let me see if I can set you up somewhere, and we're going to see what I can get done before my appointment. Let me shut off the lift lights. The lift has LED lights in it that came with it. Let me bring you in here. So I'm not a big fan of the coils, but I do want to provide some strain relief up here. So I don't know if I'm going to turn those coils so they're vertical and then come in, or if I'm gonna leave them kind of sitting out above. But ultimately we got to get into the rear port here. So I'll have to give that some thought here. We'll figure out something there. But we're gonna start on at least getting the fronts roughed in. Don't really have a thought on how to do that yet. Probably going to have to come down or jump maybe down, get on the K member somewhere. And I'm thinking, do we just come across? I mean, eventually, like if you want to get a jack under here, you got to be a little conscious of that. So I think I might try running it just off center, so they're not in the way of the oil pan. Come back up, and boy, from there I'm gonna have to do some figuring here, but might jump back that way and then hit the brake flare mount right there. Good backside look at those big 13-inch bare brakes. They tell me a 17-inch tire will fit on here. I don't know. I guess it all depends on back spacing and stuff, but that's a whole nother story. All right, let's go play with some more brake line. So I think we're about as far as we can take this. If we start on the passenger side, I didn't realize that this, can I get it up there? That is not an inverted flare fitting. I should say SAE, double flare type fitting. That looks more like a, I don't know, geez, a bubble fitting or a 3AN. Might have to call Bear and ask so we get the right adaptor on that to get our hard line there. And we have our hard line sticking on the passenger side, comes across the back side of the UMI K member, swoops around, double tap one of the existing holes, couple of stress loops. I know this is a unibody, I did it anyways. And then up to the proportioning valve. These are not tight yet. I think I'm just gonna run 3 lines up into the tank. When I go to bleed the master, yes, I'm gonna bleed it in the car. Not concerned I will raise the back end of the car up to get this even, do what I gotta do. A lot of people do it. I'm going to do it. And if I have problems, then I will take it out and bleed it on a vise after the fact. But I think I'm gonna bleed the master and the proportion valve at the same time. See if I can eliminate all the air in there. Don't know if it's gonna work. There really isn't a good recommended practice that I found online. But that's what I'm gonna do. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Worst case, I mean, I can always undo those too. These actually are the existing factory ones. They're steel. They had the bubble fitting or the bubble flare that I needed. And I'm trying to get, make progress. Can we make some progress? So instead of running and go rent a flare tool that I didn't have, I reuse these, bent them. They actually look pretty okay. I think they'll work just fine. I guess we will find out. But that's the bracket we welded up, just to kind of give that little support other than the brake lines. And then we got the driver's side that comes down, and right now she's just loose because we don't have the fittings to finish that, but it's tucked up all the way. And if I'm looking at this right, we know the frame rail and the top of the K-member are on the same plane, i.e. they're not going to move separate from each other because, well, they're welded and bolted to each other. The only clearance we're gonna have to watch is obviously the lower control arm down here and how far up that comes. But I think if I tuck this brake line a little tighter up when I'm ready against this top plate here, really scoot that across, I think we will be just fine. That's quite a bit of travel then. Probably do the same thing over here on the passenger side. Right now I just have it looped over and across because, again, our goal is to get this engine and transmission in. The straps I'm using are rubber coated stainless steel. Here I just tapped some 8/32 with some stainless hardware. I'll put a link, an affiliated link to these because I got them on Amazon in the description below. The affiliated links help the channel, helps me make a little money because right now I'm just really doing this for fun, and let's just face it, car hobbies are expensive. So I'm gonna go finish up a few other items before some help comes, and we'll see how far we get today. Okay, so I really apologized. I had thought I hit record on some of that. By the time I caught it, you probably just saw the last of the time lapse where we got the engine in and up over the core support there in the front. But let's turn around, take a look at the final result. Yes, first off, huge shout out and thank you to my good friend, my brother Eric. Came over, spent 4 hours in the shop with me, and we figured this out. And you might mean, what do you mean figure it out? It's an engine. You have an engine hoist. But we wanted to see if we could get the engine up and over the radiator support here with the car on the lift. Just reduced a whole lot of running around, having to put the car on cribbing blocks underneath it and all that. So to get the lift up high enough to clear the Harbor Freight engine hoist, we had to go up about 8 inches. And I would say we probably had, if I want to guess, maybe if Eric ever watches this, he'll throw it in the comments, but I bet you we had about an inch clearance with 2 people. So it was just him and I put this in. We put a blanket over the radiator support. I think there was one time where we had the oil pan just resting on there temporarily on the blanket. But we were able to get it high enough with 2 people to get it started. And once we got the transmission started in to the The tunnel, he actually shimmied underneath the lift. And yes, it's got locks. I don't want to hear about safety. And he actually remained under the lift, pulling up on the tail shaft, jostling it around. And we actually did end up dropping it right into the UMI engine mounts over the LS brackets. I still have to tighten those up. I left them loose just for finagling them. I still have to make sure the engine's actually sitting in here square. I'll take a couple measurements, do my best. I'll probably just measure off the heads from the radiator support, firewall. And we'll call that good enough. Then we'll tighten up all those engine brackets and the engine mount bolt itself. So again, those are the Holley Hooker Blackheart serviceable clamshells. They dropped right in those UMI LS engine mounts, and the QA1, I know it's weird. So the whole front end of this car is all UMI. The whole rear end of the car, minus the two Coney shocks in the back, are going to be QA1. That's just the way it worked out. They had a nice QA1 has a nice 4L80 transmission support. I didn't have to do any modification. It really wasn't that much money. And it bolts right up to their adjustable torque arm, which I have sitting over there. We'll be throwing that in next. But, so that fits in. We have plenty of room in the front. I mean, my goodness. I am pretty happy that I went with these F body spacing on this Bill's Hot Rod LS accessory kit. This is my only question yet. I really hope the air conditioning unit or the compressor fits there without having to make any modifications to that strut tunnel to the tower. But we'll see. Where I kind of eyed up and measured my, my block, I guess, where I put everything through the firewall, came out exactly where I wanted it, right off the back of the coil supports. And that's going to lay just inside where the fuel rails are. So that's going to, I think, look nice overall. What else we got here? This will eventually be, I just have this tied into one another, but this is going to be a 4-point steam kit. Built it myself out of 2 Earl's kit. It was much cheaper than buying the all-in-one. And we'll vent that out probably behind the bracket and whoop, probably into an LS radiator. Haven't decided that yet. But I was just testing to make sure my transmission harness was going to reach. So it does reach. I plugged all that in. That's perfect. With the extension in there, I'll actually be able to route it and zip tie everything up out of the way. So that's how she sits. Saw the front. Let me get you into the back. Oh, well, you can see that in there. But I can get my hand up behind that. I'm gonna guess we have like almost an inch or so of clearance between the tunnel and the transmission, so that's great. I like how low this sits. I don't think we're gonna have any clearance issues with the hood whatsoever. So hopefully that helps answer some questions. I know I'll put in a description of what I used, because honestly, I've probably spent just as much time Googling and trying to figuring out what in the devil works with what and how it's going to go together. And this is all seemingly coming together pretty darn nice. I'm going to have to check with my other buddy, Eric, who's got the S Motor over at S Motorsports, because I'm also going to be running the Speed Engineering headers. I'll probably end up ordering those next, just so I can put them on to have and mock them up, so I can make sure all my other wiring and everything is out of the way of those. And if I do have to if I do feel more comfortable wrapping something with a fiberglass wrapper on mat, I kind of want to take care of that all now. But that's how she's sitting right now. It's been a long time coming. It was great to see this sitting in the car. Be tackling, well, I suppose let's go and tackle the intake manifold and all that next. I will say this was the only thing we broke. I don't know if you can see that, just the bottom of that windshield wiper plastic cover. Oops, I didn't catch it. I was kind of one man out here with the lift, shimmying things around, and it caught that vent port right there. Other than that, we didn't break anything. A couple close calls with the knock sensors I put in. But I think, wow, really, really happy right now with how this is all coming out. So next, the intake. So now I got the valley pan all cleaned up with some brake clean, lint-free rags. This is the valley pan gasket I'm using, along with the ICT billet. Just happened to be on sale, and since I'm using oil pressure on my adapter that you saw me install in the assembly videos, we're going to get this and bolt this down, and then we can move on to doing, I don't know, the fun part. To me, it's once you start putting the intake on, we can start doing some final routing and really start actually buttoning this thing up, which would be neat. But we're getting there, one piece of this engine at a time. You know what? And just for good measure, please hold. I know this is dumb overkill, but I am going to just give these a little drop of blue Loctite. And I'm talking just a small drop. I just don't want anything to come loose. We'll have to see what ICT has any recommended torque for these with this hardware. It does not. So we will go and just use the stock torque setting or the torque spec for this, which I will, when I get that far, I'll let you know what that is. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's late at night here after everyone's gone to bed, and just wanted to get the valley pan covered up. So as you'd expect, this was uneventful. Dawned on me though, I never chased these holes. So I'm glad they all torqued down nice and evenly. I did a crisscross pattern. Since this is one of those molded gasketed gaskets. Sorry, it's late. I just went in a crisscross pattern, did it 3 different times. 5 foot-pounds, 10 foot-pounds, and I finished with 18 foot-pounds-ish. 18, 19. And yes, stock factory torque setting recommended is 18 foot-pounds. So we're within range there. So I might get a few other things dressed up tonight. It's getting late. We'll see you sometime in the future. All right, so I guess I'm not quite done for the night. I got a little more steam left. These are what I'm using. I'm going to just go ahead and replace the intake gaskets. These are Mahle, part number on these, there you go. MS19589. Bought these on Amazon because they delivered within 2 days. So since I don't know the history really of this intake other than it was a takeoff in good shape, we're gonna go ahead and get these old ones out. I'm sure they're probably fine. If I don't wreck them getting them out, maybe I'll save them in a baggie because that's what we do here. We hoard things. We'll get the new ones in, and at least But it'd be nice to get this set on the car. That would be neat. Okay, here we go. Alright, so just like I did with the Valley pan, I already have this vacuumed up so I know there's no metal, debris, other things that I don't want falling into my combustion chamber. My buddy here did a fairly good job of covering this bad boy up. That's no good. Alright, here. Sometimes it pays to have a friend with you in the shop, just because sometimes you're just in a zone and they think of things you didn't. And here, my buddy was telling me when he worked on his Honda and he dropped something right down in there, and out everything had to come and fetch it out. So props for reminding me to tape. Okay, just gonna hit this with some brake clean. And I got a pile of these. I don't even know where these came from. They're just like a lint-free terry type. Maybe I'm using a terry type of cloth. I don't know my rigs. Okay, it's a rig that doesn't leave wet. We're gonna use it to wipe the heads down, just to make sure we get a nice, good seal. And there's no leftover oil or anything from us having this engine upside down and backwards and inside out. Gotta work quickly because brake cleaner evaporates. Go over and find a clean spot. Go over it one more time. Let it flash off. We'll grab our intake. We'll sit around here. All little steps, and no one really cares about it. All right. Anything else on this engine I want to point out at this juncture? So because I did the knock sensor conversion wire harness, I do have that just kind of chilling up here. That should reach, I think it's, yeah, this one. It's actually the shortest one on the Holly harness. So I figured, well, if I get it up here, that should be about where the Gen 3 would have come out. What else we got back here? Since I mounted the Terminator ECU inside the vehicle, I did run a vacuum line out here that'll plug right in the back of the intake, bloop, into the small port, and then the big port will go over to our master, or a brake booster, sorry. Okay, I think we're about ready to bring that sucker over here. Oh, let's just stay out of my way a little bit. No, probably not. You know, let's, what do I want to do here? I don't know. Let's, I'm gonna cut these zip ties quick. Oh, this is a dangerous game. Cut the zip ties without cutting. Yeah, I know. If you saw that on camera, that almost went right in the intake. Oh, God, that's why you shouldn't work on things when you're tired. Okay, let's try it. See if we can get lucky twice. Okay, perfect. That's what I was kind of going for. Okay, there we are. Let's get you buried behind there. Let's go grab our intake. Okay. Now, if you've never put one of these on before, there are some, I'll call them alignment dowels that help you get this square on the block, on the heads. Sorry, like I said, oh, doggy, it's getting to me now. Oh, that might not work like I wanted. Rah, Scooby. Oh, that's fine. We'll deal with little things as they come up. All right, let's take you in here and get a look at this. You can see what I'm bellering about. So we got the intake on here. Oh, and for the record, I also understand that these are probably leaving micro scratches in my paint. Like I said, 10-foot car. Back here. Oh, can we see it? Yep. This vacuum line for the Terminator is going to go on to that little port. And then the big guy to the brake booster. Oh, but I see one issue with my, potentially, with, I might have to cap and drill or do something different, because I think that's not probably going to work, because my thought was this would come up. Let me get this down where I think it's going to go first. Well, help me. There we go. So my thought was this would come into the top side of a T, if I get the right T, and then the third part of the T would come out this way, around, and then into the radiator. But that might be in the way of that. There's probably some ways around that. I will deal with that later. We'll get this in place first and see what kind of clearance I have to bend a hose around that. I gotta figure out what I'm doing for a PCV and catch can system in this anyways. That will be a feat unto its own. I did put this in. I've been fighting this for a long time. This is a fitting from Cold Case. I think that's what they call themselves. I'll have to look up the name of that company. I'll put it in the description. But this allows for a port or a sensor, a switch. So here's what I got. Here's what came. Oh, does it say on here what this is from? Nope, it doesn't. All right, so the plan is, instead of running a bunch of relays, since I want to run PWM fans, I need a place to mount this. This is from Vintage Air as well. This is a AC pressure sensor. I believe this one is 0 to 500 PSI, 5 volt. So we have a, what do we got in here? This would be ground, then a sensor ground, 5 volts and signal, something like that. But it came with this fitting, which is great. So these have that stopper in there, right? So if you unscrew something, it doesn't drain out your refrigerant. That's great. I thought I had this nailed down, but that, let's see, it doesn't do the thing, as you can see. That's not gonna thread in there. So I gotta figure this out yet. I might have to, I don't know. And if you're wondering, I'll just use the port that the trinary or the binary goes into. Yeah, I have that. It's also the wrong thread for this. So the folks at Vintage Air could really make this easier for a guy. Now I'm playing games with, well, what fitting fits what and this sensor. Or I'm gonna find out what this thread actually is, and I will just I'll bite the bullet and order another pressure sensor from somewhere else that meets my thread requirements. Because boy, this has been legitimately weeks in the making. It's been a pain in the butt. One of the many things that has taken many hours to research, all for the sake of creature comforts in the summer. So, I'm going to just real quickly lay out some wire harnesses. You guys don't need to watch that. Plus, I want to turn on some music. Selfish. It's getting late. I'm getting tired. All right. Okay, so these 8mm intake bolts. This is the torque pattern. First pass 44 inch-pounds. Second pass 89 inch-pounds. Don't screw that up with feet or you'll be mad. But if we turn this to kind of match the way the intake sits, it is pretty much a crisscross style pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 back up front. So twice around we go, got all those buttoned in, torqued down. Yeah, getting close. I'm almost gonna have to buy a radiator just to keep mocking stuff up. Uh-oh, there goes some more money. All right, let's, I'm gonna clean up, finish up tonight with getting some wires looked at and maybe doing a little loose routing of that. We'll see where we end up. I'm gonna take you back in here now, off camera. We got a few things dressed up. Solved a few issues here that we'll go over. Got the alternator, power steering pump on. Also picked up these lines here for that power steering. This was a kit I found on Speedway. I believe it's made by Gotta Works, something like that. But they're a nice braided stainless AN type line. Now these also use they're not AN fittings in here. They're like a fluted, O-ringed high pressure side, and then the low pressure side has like a nylon washer on it, something like that. But we gotta get these arranged yet. This will likely go up into the reservoir. The high pressure line, I think, it's hard, I don't have my headers in here yet. I'm gonna try to bend those down through the bracket and come hit the bottom of the hydraulic pump with a banjo fitting. That all came with that kit. I bought actually this off of Speedway. It was in there used and returned, so I paid like half price. So for me, that was a good deal versus having to try to measure and have someone crimp me lines. So I think I'm gonna go that route there. Now, you might notice if you're looking at the valve covers, like, hey, Andrew, you swapped them. Yep. So the one thing, like this is the Bill's hot rod. If you haven't seen the videos, I did an unboxing of it. We had it installed on the engine before we put it in. But the way the air conditioning, what do you want to call it, clocks with this kit, I had to kind of face it so the ports were facing the heads. If I were to do it the other way, you can see like my clearance between the strut tower and that air conditioning unit isn't a lot, and there's no way I was getting that fitting on. Likewise with the oil fill here, there was also no way I was getting that fitting on. Now I have a couple options. I could potentially drill this out, use this as an oil fill, yada, yada, yada. But look at this. I thought this was pretty slick. Now, I know this isn't right, but that's okay. This, in flipping the valve covers around right now, my oil fill ended up underneath my windshield wiper motor, and that's okay. I took this off and actually broke the retaining clip that's in there. So if you didn't know, when you screw these new oil fill necks on, there's a clip that catches in the valve cover so it doesn't come out. But get a load of this with that out. Well, don't make me a liar. Please hold. There you go. Get my fat hands in there. You can rotate that just enough. I mean, how often are you really adding oil, right? Hopefully it's only during oil changes. Then you fill your oil, put the cap back on, and you can slide that little bugger right back under there. Sorry, my fingers got caught in the camera there. I am not going to reshoot this, so sorry. But once you're done, this motor actually kind of acts as a little stop. There's just enough play in there to make that work. So for now, that's going to work for me. I don't really have any interest in spending more money when it's not really required here to get this thing back on the road. So that was my fix for that. And then I also figured out my air conditioning system. This was from Cold Line. I forget the name of the company, but I'm going to put this in the description too. This was nice. This was a 6AN air conditioning line sensor bracket or fitting. So I didn't have to do any brazing or anything like that to get a custom line made. All it does is screws right in place with some O-rings. Then it gives me a number 10 sensor threaded insert here where I can put that vintage air pressure sensor. Now, it's not a switch. If you remember from a previous video, I'm actually going to feed this pressure back into the Holley system for the PWM fans that are eventually going to go here. And that's going to get wired with, I'll put this in the description below. I think this is from EFI Connections. It's just the 3-pin pressure connector with, I think I got 10 feet of flying leads. because my goal here is where my fuel pressure sensor is off the Holley harness. I put a splitter in here. That's where I'm going to pull off my, I'm going to clip one line off that. And so the two lines I'm going to plug into here are going to give me my sensor 5 volts and my signal return. And then one of these wires I have here that goes through the firewall is going to get wired to the one I cut from that connector. And that's going to bring back my signal from the sensor through the firewall and back into my Holley I/O harness, which is under kind of the right side of the driver's side dash. So that's my wiring for that. I got my compressor clutch engaging wire all ran here. This will be, I got a little bit of wiring to clean up, but this is about how it'll sit. I think it's a fairly clean install. I'm gonna prep and put my fuel pressure regulator, I think right on here somewhere, utilizing these holes. Maybe I'll build a bracket. And I'm gonna go and do a 8 AN supply and a 6 AN return. Then everything off the regulator is just gonna be 6 AN. But that 8 AN line should ensure I have enough flow getting from the back to the front. Again, probably overkill, but that's okay. Wow, it's been a long couple days. I could definitely use a break. With the holidays coming up, I will probably try to get in maybe a few shorts, maybe a quick 10-15 minute video. You guys let me know what you like, the longer ones or the shorter ones. I know it's kind of personal preference, but I'll throw a little bit of mixed content out there, probably especially over the holidays when I'm gonna want a break, take some time with the family. I have invested not a lot of money, I'll be honest, but quite a bit of time into learning how to edit videos, figuring out what works, what doesn't. But hope you enjoyed this video. When we come back, we'll probably have to start looking at some wiring. Great. So much fun. I'm an electrician. You'd think I would enjoy it, but that's why I'm not in the field doing wiring anymore. That in my back, but we already talked about that. But again, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for everyone who's commenting, liking, subscribing. Please do so. If you're new to the channel, check out my other videos. You can check out the history of this Trans Am behind me. And I think, let me know in the comments, I'm thinking maybe I'm going to take you on location to Gibson's Iron and Metal here locally in Neenah, Wisconsin. And just kind of show you guys what they have out there. I know some of it will be snow covered right now, but if you do need parts, they're a really good outfit, and I've gone out there a ton for parts. So let me know what you think of that. Otherwise, we'll catch you next time on Beyond the Manual.